So, hi everybody. I know my title was kind of chunked off there. We got the DE, I think. But I am the Design and Development Team Leader here at Powered by Search. And I'm a user experience designer currently. I have foundations in graphic design and fine arts. This is why we're here tonight. So we want to learn about user experience and seduction, why every touch matters. So I'm going to start the presentation by giving you clarity on what seduction means. So it's defined as the process of deliberately enticing a person to engage in some sort of behavior, frequently sensual in nature, but for purposes of tonight's presentation, we're going to forget that last little part. And why do we want to design, and why do we want it to be seductive in nature? So you might be experiencing high bounce rates on your website, low adoption, so people aren't using your service. If you're an enterprise company and you have an app, maybe 10 people adopted it. If you're a startup and you need more users, maybe you have low rate of users. If there's a lack of differentiation in your segment, of your company, that could also be a problem. And we're going to move forward. So we're going to step back to 2009 when Volkswagen released a video. It was a test on replacing stairs with keyboard keys. How many of us have seen this video? Do you guys remember it? I guess it was 6 years ago now, but I mean, what an amazing experience to watch. People interact with this staircase, and when people stepped on the stairs, they would create tones and created music. And it was lovely to watch it, and it made everyone smile. So we want to take this physical experience and we want to relate it in a digital sense. So our main touch points today, number one is how to design for a multisensory mind. This is a pretty big topic that we'll be covering in the first part. And then once we have that covered, we want to keep the customer first and put us and our selfish behavior second. Even though things might be awesome and beautiful, does it work for our customer? And how to simplify the customer journey. So those are our three touch points. So user experiences are generated in the mind, and the senses that are touched are through visual elements, emotional elements, physical elements, or verbal elements. So this is an illustration of a multi-sensory mind. And we're all kind of wired a little different, and different parts of the mind affect us in different ways. So we have language, wayfinding, vision, decision-making, emotion, and memory. So to better understand the experience and why every touch matters, we need to understand the intersection of psychology and user experience and how that affects each part of the brain. So a good user experience will hopefully touch on all 6 of these aspects. So the visual side of things. So is there a visual flow created? Is there a hierarchy? Is there a visual pattern in our web design? In this case, the Airbnb homepage, we have a strong headline, a strong message, and it matches the form, and we have a high contrast button. So these pieces tie together, we know our path, and the visual clues are clear to us. The language part of the brain, so I've used the example of Tough Mudder. If you've heard of Tough Mudder, maybe you've participated in it. It's for pretty extreme athletes. You go through electrode walls and mud pits and ice water baths. I mean, the whole thing is just a crazy experience, but it hits home in the copy we have. So leave your excuses at home. We have iconic venues and epic experiences. It nails it, right? The emotional side of the brain. So when we have a brand and we need to embody it, we pick things that, help satisfy that. So we have a sexually looking model. She's gazing into the distance. Her red lips match the logo. And it's kind of the sense that I want to be her, and every guy wants to be with her, right? The wayfinding part of the brain is about navigation and creating a path that's clear to the user on what to do next. So on this example of event source, we have a main navigation that tells us we're at step 1 and I want you to do this. There's only 3 steps, so let's get started. So it's very clear, it's quick, and we know what to do next. To capture the decision-making part of your brain, it's all about customer testimonials, reference, industry seals of approval, and just features that help make the decision process easier and satisfies the need to, make you feel comfortable that you made the right decision. And memory, we associate a lot of personal experiences with brands or with web pages or logos, anything. So in this case, Facebook recently redesigned their logo. It wasn't a huge shift, and I don't even know if all of you guys noticed, but the old logo had personality, and the shapes of the A and the O curved in certain ways that now kind of looks plain. Did it change the way we feel about the brand? Not likely. It was a slow, subtle shift, and it didn't rock the apple cart. So in this example, it's kind of the summary of all of those senses in a design done by PayPal Business. And at the top of the page, it starts with a strong CTA. It's a positive message with a bright contrasting button. So we have a strong CTA at the top, followed by a wonderful picture that, you have a guy packaging up his goods. We can all relate to this. It brings back good memories, positive memories. Even though we can't connect with the user's eyes, we're able to connect with the memory. We have some sub-navigation, tells us where we are. If we don't want to scroll down, if we've kind of lose an interest, we can go elsewhere at that point. We have some strong language that supports the CTA. And then we have a video that if they scroll down to that part of the page, we really want to catch them and we really want to make them comfortable with their decision. So let's tell them about a success story and make them believe what we do is good for them as well. And then we have a CTA at the bottom that says, let's boost your sales by 18%. They did it, so you guys can do it too. So all of these senses work together in a design. So who are they and what do they want? Well, they is your customer. So how do we seduce our customers? But we need to figure out one thing is what do they want, right? So a good user experience designer really understands the user, right? Mel Gibson tried to do it in What Women Want, and he had to get into the heads. But this was more of a marketing level. The roles have shifted a little bit, where user experience designers have to have more of a relationship with your customer to understand their specific needs. So that's where designers and marketers sort of are turning into more of a unique role, and this role is user experience design. So we have to just seduce our customers by offering them what they want, what they need, but one step ahead at all times. So to gather what we need, I use a set of tools, and they're kind of standards in the industry, and they just showcase, they put statistics to our design work. So one of the tools I use is called an empathy map. So an empathy map is a collaborative tool that teams use to gain deeper insights on who their customers are. So I would ask questions like, what does she think and feel? Like, what really matters to her? What does she see? What affects her in her environment? What are her competitors doing? What does she say and do? And how is her attitude in the public? Like, how does she act? What does she hear from her friends? from her families. Do they share things? Does she have any pain points? Does something affect her specifically? And what does success really mean to her? So that's an empathy map. The next is job stories. So we really need to frame every design problem as a job. So we focus on the trigger of the situation, then we define what the motivation is of the user, and we want to provide them the expected outcome. So for example, when an important new customer signs up, I really want to be notified so I can start a conversation with them. So job stories are really great because it makes you think about the motivation within a certain context. And it really helps you understand why people do the things they do and want the things they want. And it doesn't also define creatives into a specific solution. So within a context, there could be a variety of possible answers, but what's the best one for this particular job story? So let's do another example. So if I'm hungry, and situation one is when I go out to get something to eat. When I'm hungry, I go out to get something to eat. I'm going to go to the restaurant. But situation two defines context using this model. We're going to say when I'm in a rush and I'm starving and I have to eat with one hand because I'm running to the GO train and I really don't know when I'm going to eat next, I'm going to get X. So with the context and the situation defined more clearly, we're able to understand the real solution. So instead of going to a sit-down restaurant, which is not what they want, obviously, because they're on the run, I might just grab a slice of pizza or a Snickers bar and move forward. So job stories evolve from customer conversations. So we really have to talk to our customers and understand their motivations so that we can see their whole perspective and effectively give them an answer. Tool number 3 is A/B testing. So A/B testing is a multivariant test. It's a situation where we put 2, 3, 4 design decisions against each other. And it could be anything like testing copy, headline changes, the size of buttons, the position of the page layout. In this case, this is an example from Visual Website Optimizer, which is a tool that we use here at Powered by Search to run our tests. And we have 2 buttons. One for this software service download program says download now, and the second button is buy now. And we tested it, or they tested it, against removing the buy now and just putting download to see if the spike would increase for purchase of the downloads. That was the purpose of this test. And as you can see, it's jumped almost 30%. So subtle things can make big differences. Sometimes the differences that we test don't give us the results we're looking for. So it's important to test and to track. Heat maps can be 2 types of heat maps, a click heat map or an eye tracking heat map. And it basically tells us what amount of content on the page is being consumed and where the darkest spot is the most traffic, and parts that aren't dark at all, or green, light green, is just subtly touched, okay? So there's an example here on the right side that is a specific case called banner blindness. So you can see on the right side, we have no activity at all in the column on the right of the website design. So that means that it could be a situation where people think it's a place of a banner, it's an ad, and I don't want to click on ads. So that's probably not a good design decision to put anything of value in that column. So we have all the tools in place, and we know how to measure, we know how to gather our insights, we know how to test, but why aren't people converting yet? That's the question. So according to Daniel Kahneman, we experience approximately 20,000 moments in any working day. And each one of these moments, even though they only last a couple seconds, they do get categorized in our brain as positive, negative, or neutral. Anything that's neutral, we kind of just throw under the rug, we forget about it. Anything that's negative, we're definitely inclined to share. Anything that's positive, we're also inclined to share. So the question is, how do we design intentionally for those positive experiences? How do we create a happy customer? So we want to integrate well, I had to integrate this guy, but besides that, we want to integrate an iterative design process. So slow changes, constant changes, and measure the changes. We want to run those user tests. We want to gather insights from Heatmaps and experiment with rapid prototyping. The world's kind of building a one-of complete website has passed us a little bit. We have to test and we have to make those iterations. And we just have to encourage participation of our audience, of our potential customers, to gain those insights. So the communication really has to stay open. So through all these discovery sessions, we come back to the 6 main senses of the brain. It's so important that it has to be unique to each customer, okay, each client, and it really has to pave the way to simplification. So imagine I'm going out for a dinner, you're going out for a dinner, we're going out for dinner together, and we sit down, and the waitress comes up, we pick up a menu, we flip through it, and there's like 10 different pages of drinks and 10 different pages of meals, and we're like, oh my God, I can't like even focus. But then she comes up so fast, and she's like, what do you guys want to drink? Oh, well, what do you want for dessert? And it's like, oh my gosh. So that whole sense of bombardment just like disrupts your entire experience. So in a web situation, it's the same thing. We can't offer too much at one time. So when I say simplification, I don't necessarily mean in the design of your website. It can have wonderfully complex ideas, but the way you deliver those ideas has to be in a simplified way. So when we collect this in-depth understanding of human attention, all these senses, memory, language, emotion, etc., we decide, like we find out that really what people want is based in the unspoken things. It's the wants, the needs, the desires, that's the meat of the problem that we have a hard time understanding. So this friction, as soon as we start removing it, our motivation to convert in your website just increases. So what is friction though? Friction comes from visual clutter. It comes from a disconnect of your marketing materials. If your PPC ads don't match the copy on your landing page, there's a disconnect there. If there's a lack of navigation and the user gets lost, they're gonna leave. Like instantaneously, they're gonna leave. So here's a before and after project that our team did last year. And the client came to us, this is the before image, we have the after, with concerns about their customers not finding the information they need and not being able to track who's on their site and all these things. So this is the proposed solution we did. So based on our 6 senses that I've talked about, can anyone highlight some of the things that are different?
You got emotion with the expression on the girl.
Yep. We have.
You like her?
Huh? Yeah, we like her.
I think the background you mentioned, like white letter boxes.
Yep.
It sort of makes it obvious that you want people to type it.
Yes. So the form and the call to action, and then we have. Well, here. So here's how we pulled it together. We use language like passion and contemporary to attract a younger audience, or a passionate audience, people who have a new flame for beauty schools, I guess. They want to learn how to become an esthetician or something. Decision making, we have a high contrast button. We have a easy to navigate form, not a lot of form fields, buttons at the bottom that stay within the frame of your browser that really gives a focus on, here's your 3 paths, choose one. And of course, like Troy said, we have a strong emotion being emitted from the girl. So I had an awesome experience. I was shopping on Amazon Prime. Someone here suggested it as this terrific experience, and they got their product super fast. And I'm like, okay, fine, I'll try it. I don't order a lot of stuff online, but I thought I'd try it. So I needed ink cartridges for my printer at home, and I made an account. It was easy. It connected with all my other social profiles, so all my information was already there. The whole experience was super great. And then I purchased my ink cartridges, and I got an immediate email back saying, congratulations, Julie, thanks for making your purchase. Expect to get this in the next 2 days. And I'm like, yes. So I logged back in, and then I'm like, oh my gosh, I've got all this like personalized content. This is so nice. So I start browsing, and I added stuff to my cart, made another purchase, and the second I got my ink cartridges in the mail, I got an email back saying, hey, we'd like to rate your experience buying this product with us today. And I was like, awesome. Fill out, put a really awesome recommendation. And I said, yes, 5 stars. Good job, guys. So that kind of wraps up my talk. Just to go over what we talked about, our focus of user experience is to design for a multi-sensory mind. Okay, keep all those things in consideration. Keep the customer as your main focus. We want to keep them happy. We need to understand who they are. But then we need to simplify the journey, and we need to lead them in an easy way to convert in your website. So, yeah, thank you.
We can take a few questions before the break.
Yes.
What do you, like of all the clients that you've seen or all the websites you looked at, what do you think is the biggest point of friction? Or the most common point of friction?
Oftentimes it's form design. I mean, when someone goes through the effort of wanting to make a conversion, and then you get 17 fields, and why do you need to know the name of my sister's brother? Like, instant friction. Visual clutter too. Piling a lot of stuff. Clients are notorious for wanting big logos and taking up space, and advertisements and stuff like that. Anything else? Gabby.
So my question is around, what does a good call to action look like?
It depends, like, on your customer.
Right.
I mean, generally, we want something above the fold. We want a large button. We want it to match the call to action. So if we're asking for email signups, and then we say, you know, something in the button that doesn't relate to signing up for your e-newsletter, the disconnect could be there. It could be friction. So yeah, it depends on who your audience is, what you're selling, what your call to action is.
Right.